Hey guys, what's up? This is Alex 2K, and today we're continuing and on our head modeling tutorial. Last time we made the eye socket, and today we're just going to go a little bit in detail about the eyeball itself. So let's just hide these guys for now because I don't really need them. So we have our little base eye socket here. I'm gonna call it eyeball. I'm sorry, eyeball. I'm stuck with the socket thing. Eyeball. There we go. Stop eyeballing me, guys. Anyway, so here's the eyeball. It's a pretty basic structure, and if you look at it like this, it gives you pretty much that view. What we want to do is we want to make it a little bit more realistic. So this main area is pretty much like the sclera, or it's like let's just say that it's going to be the transparent part of the eyeball. So let's just duplicate this and let's call this sclera. And what this is going to do is going to represent like the reflective part of the eyeball. So why don't we go ahead and make a shader, make it a fong, and we call this sclera material, and let's select our sclera, assign material to selection, and this guy doesn't really need any UVs or anything like that, just needs to have the material be transparent. And if it is transparent, it's a good idea to make it have no diffuse. And you can change the reflectivity levels to your own liking, but having it low is a good idea. And the specular color doesn't really have to be so bright unless you really want it to. The cuisine power, like if I make it like that, it's fine. I mean, it really comes down to how it's going to render, so it's something right now we're just guessing. The cuisine power is something that we can adjust so that it's sharper. If we give it something like 400, for example, it's going to be a very small, and if we keep it with a really high specular color, then it's going to be really small and really bright. So we're going to keep it like that for now. Now we're going to select our actual eyeball, and we're going to scale it just a little bit inwards. Now if you look at the wireframe unshaded here, you'll see the difference between both, and you can see that this is just a tad smaller than the actual sclera. Now what we're going to do here is we're going to start by selecting both, and we're going to go here to the side view, and we're going to cut just before the iris, and then we're going to make another cut just after the iris, so we can use the cut polygon tool. And if you press shift and drag down, there's your cut, and there is your next cut. So now we can select this CVs and just scale them out to give it a little bit of roundness, and these guys we can just scale them down just a little bit so that we get this like in and out type of shape, so that we get the actual shape of the eyeball there. Now for the inside part, what we are going to do is we're going to select some faces. Now let's just select the sclera for a second here and just hide it. There we go. So remember, this is the iris. So what we're going to do here is we're going to select these guys out here, and we're just going to scale them in the opposite direction like so. Then we're going to move them back, and we're going to try and get a slight gentle transition, as you can see there. Now this would represent the pupil, and this would represent the iris. So probably a good idea right now to add an extra edge loop down here, and the reason why we're doing that is because when we hit smooth, we want to have a gentle transition. It's like a gentle transition there, but then it gets a little sharp right there, and that sharpness gives it It gives the eyeball some realism because it gives that little highlight that you can see there. So it makes it look a little bit more natural. Back to wireframe and shader here. And let's undo that smooth. Division is back to 0. And we can delete the history. So I use my hotkeys, so I suggest you do the same. And not that you have to, but some people like to also extrude the pupil inwards. I don't know, it gives it, I guess, a nicer feel, but you know, it's a matter of personal taste, really. So we can select these guys and just push them a little bit closer together. And then this guy we're just gonna spread out a little bit. So as you can see, if you look at the sub-D proxy version, that's more or less what we're getting. So again, this is going to be the iris, that's the pupil, and that's the white part of the eyeball, or the sclera. So back to our regular poly mode, and let's show our sclera again. There it is. And again, if we look at this, both of these guys on the proxy version, the smooth proxy, we're just doing this to elaborate. I personally don't like seeing things like this. I'd rather see them with the smooth, because that's the operator that we'll be using. It's not the sub-D proxy. So it's a good idea just to not use the sub-D proxy, but use the smooth option temporarily. So yeah, that seems pretty good for me. I think that would work for us for now. So there's your basic eyeball. Not too complicated now, was it? The texturing stage of this will be done in a later stage. For now, let's just worry about the modeling of that eyeball. So select this guys, back to regular poly mode, and let's display our window hypergraph hierarchy so that we can see our other stuff. Visibility 1. So there's our eyeball, our sclera, our eye socket, and mouth for now. The next tutorial will be extending out the mouth and connecting it to the eye socket, and that's going to help us define some of the detail for the mouth, which is looking a little plain right now. So in the meantime, good luck, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.